Robert Plank Show, episode 350, Pay-per-click and Google AdWords Management, Testing, Tracking, and Tweaking Landing Pages with Joel Neustaedter. Hey everyone, and thanks for listening. We're talking right now with Joel Neustaedter, and Joel is the director of PPC at KlientBoost, and he brings some serious pay-per-click experience from the software and e-commerce side, and he's helped them grow from 4 employees to over 30 employees within just 1.5 years, and he's now managing around 100 clients, and they maintain a greater than 95 client retention rate. So we're going to talk about some fun stuff. How are things today, Mr. Joel?
Everything is great over here.
Super fantastic. And so we're talking about your Client Boost agency, and for you guys who you want to follow along, that's clients with a K, so clientboost.com. And can you kind of tell us about, what this agency does and what makes you unique?
Yeah, of course. So what KlientBoost does is we are a PPC agency, which also focuses on conversion rate optimization. We've grown, so we started about in 2015, just about around 2 years ago. From the ground up, we were working and started actually at humble beginnings, working from Starbucks to Starbucks. Moved offices 3 times already since I've been here. Now over 30 employees, and it's just been some great success and great growth, and it's been a wild ride so far. So I'm really happy to be a part of this. And what makes us unique, what I believe makes us unique from other PPC agencies, is that we really focus on the entire funnel of the customer acquisition for our clients. Whereas the other agencies, even a previous agency that I was with before working at KlientBoost, where they mostly focus just on the PPC side of things, so that's getting the traffic, they don't really focus on what happens with the traffic after it comes. So that's where we are very unique, and we actually make a huge focus on that here internally. About half of our employees are actually even designers, which is very unique for a PPC agency, and we design all of the landing pages for our clients. So it's not just bringing the traffic, it's also what happens once that traffic comes and converting them on the landing page.
Super cool.
So it's been a great formula for us.
Awesome. And so just to kind of make sure that we're all sort of on the same page, as far as like the service or like the package that you guys provide, if someone comes to you and hires you to do this
Yeah,
ad management, because I know you mentioned like about graphics and landing pages and stuff like that,
yeah,
like when people hire you guys, what are they actually hiring you for?
yeah. Awesome question. So we are not a la carte. We actually that's also kind of a unique aspect of our agency. We're not also a percentage of spend because we don't really believe that how much you spend really is completely tied to your success. And at the end of the day, we're just looking for one thing, and that's to make our clients more money. That really is all we focus on. Um, so we basically, once you come in, you ask to work with us, you go through one of our sales guys. They can kind of set up a custom price for you. It's a month-to-month basis, but like I said, it's not a percentage of spend like most agencies do.
Okay.
And then that includes, yeah, to answer the question completely, that includes everything. That includes the design aspect and the PPC management across different channels, whether that be Facebook ads, AdWords, Bing, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it.
So great. So you set up these Facebook ads, these AdWords ads, things like that. And so I mean, what are you actually setting up? So you're setting up like ads, like are we talking like image ads, text ads? Are you guys like split testing? Is this ongoing? I mean, what sort of like
Yeah.
pieces and like concrete, tangible things are being put in place here?
Yeah, basically all of the above. So most of our clients, I would say the majority of our clients come with us already with pre-existing channels going. So they probably most likely have an AdWords account already running, or Facebook ads, whatever it be. If they don't, we definitely have and do set up the accounts from scratch. Um, and it's continual testing, whether that be image ads for if we're in the display network or in Facebook, text ads, always A/B testing, and that also goes for the landing pages on that note as well. Always A/B testing different variants of landing pages, never becoming complacent with what we have, and never stagnant, always pushing forward.
Awesome stuff. So you're setting up these pay-per-click ads, and you're setting up these landing pages and things like that. And so what's like you mentioned that you guys like kind of figure out a custom price based on what is being set up, and like I mean, what kind of price range are we talking about? Because I've heard of some of these agencies like they kind of set it up and then like make you pay monthly to basically just like have that sort of sitting there, and I've heard of other people kind of treat
Yeah.
it like kind of lawyer pricing and say, well, there's this big retainer, and then that's just to get started, and there's other starter stuff. So I mean, yeah, like what kind of like price ranges are we talking about here?
Yeah, I mean, so the minimum typically starts around $3,000 a month. That's where we start our retainer. What we like to do with that, and then like I said, it's not connected to percentage of spend. What we really like to work with our clients is setting goals, and even so increasing our fee if we can. But that's only if we have actual solid goals with them, number of goals in place. So if we get to X amount of conversions or X CPA or whatever that goal be set, that's when we kind of work together. Almost as we really like to think that we're part of the team. It's not like you're working agency client. It's more like, okay, you just brought in a marketing team with you. So just like an employee would say, hey, if I set these goals, I get incentives kind of. That's really how we work. But there's no surprises. Everything is always set in stone. It's all clear in the contract and everything. But the starting fee is $3,000.
Super great, and then so just to kind of so people listening kind of know that they're sort of listening to the right thing and that they're a good fit. I mean, what kind of clients do you bring on? Are we talking like
Yeah.
e-commerce sites only, or is there a certain criteria for like what you and your agency want to have as clients?
Yeah, we don't like to say we have any niche in any particular industry or vertical. We really do have we work with clients from across the board. We work with enterprise clients as large as Stanford University. We work with them, or Airbnb. We've also worked with, and also some smaller shops that are only spending, let's say, around 3K in ad spend a month. It's really across the board. And as far as the vertical, um, we work with SaaS clients, a lot of lead gen clients, finance, law, e-commerce. There really is no one industry where I'd say that's where we're going after. We found success across different verticals.
Super cool. So anyone's a good fit. And then so having said that, do you have any kind of interesting stories about some client who came to you and they said, I need you guys' help for traffic or to fix up what I have, and then you kind of worked your magic and came out with something super awesome?
Ooh, yeah, I mean, we got plenty of case studies. So definitely anyone who reaches out to us, we'd be happy to send any case studies. We're loaded with case studies. But I mean, let's see. I mean, Stanford University came to us. We've been working with them for a little over a year now. And we've really built such a strong relationship with them, the Stanford GSB program, Graduate School of Business. They were working with a previous agency before kind of connecting with us. And within the 1 year, they've had record numbers with filling up their programs. We've really become a part of their team. Like really, we go up there twice a year for summits. They come down and visit us. It's really become a great relationship that we're looking forward to growing with them.
Great. And like, so what sort of things did you set up for them? Did you set up like landing pages or get some of these ads on these ad networks set up, or like, what kind of things did you build for them?
So for them in particular, we are only running AdWords and Bing, and we are creating landing pages as well for some of their programs. They work with different vendors, so they have kind of a unique relationship with different vendors. So they also have a social agency that does their Facebook ads or LinkedIn and Twitter. For our other clients, obviously we across the spectrum, we do all those other channels. But for them, we've mostly focused on AdWords, Bing, remarketing, Google Display Network, and also creating some landing pages.
Great. And so, do you have any sort of like, I don't know, do's and don'ts, or like some sort of thing about like what kind of things to have on these landing pages? Because I'm sure that like I mean,
Yep.
you must have seen like some just really terrible landing pages or things that sounded good when they made them, but then didn't convert at all. So, do you have any sort of like when you're explaining like, okay, you have these clients and you set up these ads and then you send them to these landing pages? I mean, what kind of landing pages are these about? Are we talking like blogs or opt-in forms, and like what sort of on these pages usually?
Awesome question. Awesome question. So I mean, I could talk about this for a long time because there's a lot to go over in landing pages. But basically, we're firm believers. We're very strong believers in two-step landing pages for most of our landing pages. Basically, the first step being where the visitor will do what's called a micro commitment. So we won't ask them necessarily for the more threatening information, is what we call it. We won't ask them for necessarily their name or their phone number necessarily in the first step of the landing page. It'll be more like, tell us a little bit about your business. How many employees? What industry are you in? Depending on whatever the client is. And then once they kind of go through that first step, they're like, okay, that's nothing threatening. Let's go ahead. They make it to the next step, and that's where we kind of ask them for a little bit more of the personal information. And at that point, once they've already done that micro commitment, they're much more likely to commit all the way through. But with that, what's really, 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 really important to keep in mind when creating landing pages is the offer, the call to action in the landing page. And that's really based on the temperature of the traffic. If anyone's visited our blog post, we have a lot of blog posts about it, about different traffic temperatures. So it's basically what channel are we targeting, to put it simply. Like if it's coming from Google Display Network, or maybe even social ads, maybe some or Facebook or LinkedIn, we'd want to be careful to not be too threatening with the offer, because that temperature is a little bit colder. But now once we go a little bit down into that funnel and we kind of get a little bit warmer temperatures, such as Google search, where they're actively searching for a product that we can provide them with, that's when we can be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more threatening with the offer, and maybe go for something like a demo or a free trial. So it's really about gauging where they are, where the visitor is in the funnel, and giving them the appropriate offer.
Super cool, and I like your thought process there as far as like that the hot and the cold, or the hot and cold traffic, or the
Yeah,
warm traffic, and like having those micro commitments so that they kind of, if you dumped all of those sorts of things on the form, like how many employees do you have in your business, what's your name, what's your email, where are you located,
yeah,
stuff like that. If it was that whole big thing, people would say, ew, I'm not filling all that in. But because they fill one of those things in, and then they're kind of sort of stuck, or now it's sort of halfway done or incomplete. Now it's like, well, it's not because I committed a little bit. Either I can stop now, and that little time I spent filling that in is a waste, or I can put a couple more seconds in and fill in the rest. And so as far as like that sort of thing goes, like those micro commitments, or like those sort of two-step opt-in forms, I used to think, like when those first came out, I used to think they were super silly, because it was like, well, here's a landing page, and then I have to make them like click and then make that opt-in form appear, and it always almost
yeah,
felt sort of like counterintuitive, right? Because it's like, oh,
exactly.
I'm adding clicks, and I'm making it sort of harder for them to get to where I want them to get. But then I also get the logic as far as like, okay, but if they do click, then they're kind of like already along for the ride. And so, I mean, like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you know when
Yeah.
you're like decreasing the conversion rates for the right reasons, I guess?
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because it really is counterintuitive. That was kind of my thoughts early on as well. Like, why would I put more steps in front? It's just going to make it harder to convert. Um, but really, I mean, what has proven that wrong is just looking at the data. I mean, we've done thousands of pages between all of our clients, tested it over and over and over again, and basically, like, we are great at eating our humble pie, and if something is not working the way we think it should be working, then we'll go a different route. But so far, we have seen that the two steps over and over again typically work. That's not to say that we'll never do a one-step landing page. I'm not saying that. Um, there have been times when one steps have worked better. It's really basically for what type of client it is, and what the offer is. If it's something like a demo or a trial where it's a little bit more threatening, that's where we found that the two steps will work a bit better. But if e-commerce clients, that's probably true. E-commerce clients, it's not always the best, even though we have seen it work to slap on another page in front of them actually making the conversion. It all kind of depends on what the product is.
And do you have, and just like to make that sort of two-step thing sort of work the way you want it, do you have
Yeah,
any kind of like logic or method behind the madness, as far as like, do you say like, I'm only going to put like one of the questions on
yeah.
step one, or do you limit yourself and say I'm only going to ask like 4 or 5 questions total? Any sort of guidelines that you follow like that?
Well, well, to put like making a carpet statement, kind of like, I would say more often than not, fewer the fields, more likely that the conversion will go through. But that's not to say it's always the case. Again, I don't want to be vague here, but it kind of does just go down to testing. What we do like to do is communicate with our clients, and basically what qualifying questions they need to know if a lead is quality or not. So sometimes they do need to know how many employees are in their company or what industry they're in. Those qualified questions really help them, once it goes to their sales team, understand where that lead falls in as far as how qualified they are. So it's really a lot about communication with our clients, a lot about testing. Sometimes we've even tried multi-step, more than 2, 3 steps, and we've seen that those work as well, where we can put 1 or 2 questions in the first step, another couple questions in the second step, and then finally getting their personal information in the third step, the conversion step. So it really is about testing and about communicating with our clients on what they really need to know for those qualifying questions.
Super cool, and I'm glad that you brought up testing because, and just to get everyone sort of caught up, just to make sure everyone's on the same page. When we're talking about testing, we're saying that like if you can send a bunch of traffic to a web page and you say, well, should I have this one-step opt-in or this two-step opt-in, or should I have headline number one or headline number two, or should I have a white background or a blue background? What we can do is
Mhm.
send a bunch of traffic to these pages and send half to the white background, half to the blue background, see which one does more what we want them to do, right? More opt-ins, more sales, more clicks, whatever, just to kind of get people caught up on that. And so what I'm hearing from what you're saying is like you kind of play around with it and you say, okay, well, instead of just usually just slapping up a web page, you'll kind of make a best guess, and then you'll play
Yeah.
around with maybe like two or three or a bunch of different sort of variations of that. And so have you seen any sort of like interesting results from your split tests, or anything sort of like we mentioned a few minutes ago, like anything where you did a split test and you were sort of surprised, and like there was something where like you got like an unexpected result from trying something out?
Yeah, I mean, there are some things that I guess were like less surprised. Maybe the hero image, we often find that using real people in the hero images works a lot better than like cartoons or images that people can't relate to as much. Obviously, the things that a lot of designers know, like pointing their faces towards the CTA and whether that hero image. Some surprises, I guess. I guess it always surprises me when we do add more fields to the form, and those actually perform better and convert better. That always surprises me. There's been a couple other surprises where we'll give like a discount, and we found where giving actually the smaller discount has actually performed better. That's quite surprising and kind of counterintuitive. You think, okay, you get 25% off as opposed to 15% off. The 25% should perform better, but we have found that a few times even giving the smaller discount does perform better. So those are some big surprises, but um, normally we are kind of on the right track with our initial hypotheses, but there are always those surprises.
Super interesting. So a lesser discount and more fields were just sort of things where
Yeah,
you were expecting the conversion rate to drop, but then for whatever reason, like because I mean, who knows why, right? But those extra couple of fields, they filled
yeah.
those in, and more people actually took action. So super interesting. And so as we were first getting started in our talk today, you were talking about how this agency has like sort of grown a bunch, and you guys started in like moving from one Starbucks to another, and then you keep sort of moving to bigger and bigger locations. And I mean, so what's that been like? I mean, what's that been like as far as like kind of like keeping it all organized, and as far as like hanging on to all these clients and stuff like that?
It's been super exciting, incredibly exciting. I'm extremely satisfied with the growth and the overall environment, the culture that we have at the office. We're very selective with how we hire, and we do have this very unique culture where, I mean, at least as far as I'm concerned, we do genuinely get along and enjoy coming to work every single day. With that said, I'm not gonna lie, it's stressful. Growth is always stressful. Learning new things along the way, always improving our processes. There is a lot to learn, and we've grown so much in this last 2 years, basically 2 years that I've been here almost. But overall, if I could define it in one word, just exciting.
Great. And so do you guys think that is there anything that like stands out for you? Like is there anything that you guys are doing correctly, or you guys are
Yeah.
doing really well that other people kind of aren't, or other people are missing the boat and you guys are really shining in some kind of area?
Yeah, well, from my feedback that I get from the clients, because so as director of PPC, I do check in with our clients periodically, and I ask them questions about how our performance is or how the relationship has been, just to see if there's anything that they want to kind of add or get their feedback. Um, for vast majority of what I've heard is why clients truly appreciate working with us, and what's been a huge key to success for us is what we focus on for the clients. We're not just looking at the metrics. We're not just looking in AdWords or Bing or Facebook and saying, oh, look at your CTR went up, or even something is like, oh, look, your CPA went down, cost per acquisition. That's not what we're doing. We're actually asking our clients the tough questions. We're saying, okay, great, we got the most leads all time this month, but what did that translate to? How many of those were quality? Did you convert? If they would like to share their financial, like, is this the most money you've made? Basically, that's the simplest question. That's what we're truly looking to do for our clients, is to ultimately make them more money. And that is, if that is their goal, which is most of the time that is the goal. And the fact that we ask those tough questions and really dive into that, the clients appreciate that so much. And they over and over again, they tell me that's something that they never really got from other agencies.
Super cool. So you guys are asking those tough questions, such as like, is this your best month yet, or how's your income doing, and not just focusing on one sort of like geeky
Yeah.
statistic and just like the cost for acquisition or the number of leads or something. You're actually focused on like those big pictures and helping them. It sounds like so
Yeah.
that's super cool. And so I want to make sure that everyone listening kind of knows all about Client Boost and knows where to go and knows that they're going there for a good reason. So, can you kind of tell us about Client Boost and if someone's listening today, where they should go and what they should do once they're there?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to go is hop onto our website, which is clientboost.com. That's client with a K. Um, there you can find the contact, all the contact information. You can ask for a proposal. When you ask for a proposal, we give a custom proposal. Basically, if we can get access to their AdWords account, that's awesome. We give them a kind of a review of their AdWords account. And worst case, they can get some pointers. Um, that would be the best place, the easiest place to find us is going straight to our website.
Awesome. And so, and you mentioned there that it's if they already have an AdWords account, then you can log in and check things out. But even if
Yeah.
someone say they have a website but they haven't set up any sort of paid advertisement, if someone has that situation, can they still go to you?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
All
We
right.
we we work with clients where we set up from scratch as well.
Great. So whatever your situation, if you're setting up from scratch or if you have some old ads or whatever, then go to clientboost.com. That's KlientBoost.com. Go there and check out what's on the site and ask Joel and his team for a proposal and see what they can do for you. So I want to thank you so much, Mr. Joel, for stopping by and sharing
Sure.
some of these fun, interesting stories about being in this growing business and in making things work with pay-per-click and with landing pages and all that sort of fun stuff. Lots of things for us to think about and sort of be aware of these whole other possibilities as far as scaling our business, getting some leads, getting some traffic in, which everyone wants. So everyone should go to clientboost.com. And thanks, Joel, for stopping by and sharing what you had to share today.
Of course, I appreciate you having me today.
Please subscribe, rate, and review our show at robertplank.com/iTunes and like us on Facebook at robertplankshow.com.